2 days in a row. I'm gonna really try to keep this streak up. And the video I uploaded yesterday, you guys said you kind of just want to know whatever's going on in the garage. I know one comment was pretty cool, which was saying, even if I was doing like simple oil changes, brakes, or whatever, you guys would like to see my take or kind of like my way of how I do something. So I'll try to keep that in mind. So with that, again, with keeping that in mind, I'm picking up the camera because I actually had a customer drop off an RBC manifold and a K-tune fuel rail because he saw the spacers that I've been making and he wanted a set made for himself. So he dropped the manifold, he dropped the fuel rail. He didn't have injectors, but he's going to be running RDX injectors. I told him I have my old set laying in the garage. I'll use those for mock-up and I'll get him, the right measurements. I'll show you kind of my process real quick. But I want to give this guy a major shout out. So his name was Orlando. He hit me up through Instagram. Never met the guy before. He just messaged me. He's local. I told him drop him off. As soon as he dropped off the manifold and the rail, he said, yo, here, take this. He gave me 2 bottles of hand sanitizer, and he was just, out of the kindness of his heart, just, trying to help, help me. He doesn't know me. So, hey, Orlando, if you're watching this video, man, I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Like, that was, those kind gestures, kind of like Nicole said, it just shows, hey, man, there's still good people out there willing to do good things and help other people out. So that was just like, that actually put me in a great mood just to see somebody I don't even know is willing to help me out when he could have kept that for himself, or he could have tried to sell it or pawn it or try to say, hey, I'll give you these if you could make me some spacers. He was just, I'll pay you to make the spacers, and on top of that, here's this for you and your family. I really appreciate that, Orlando. So I'm gonna do good by you. I'm gonna do some nice spacers for you, and let's get this video started. So let me show you what I got. So here's his RBC manifold. It looks like I was just looking at it real quick. He's probably gonna get it ported, so he's got this ready for somebody to cut it open, stuff like that. So here's his manifold. He's got his K-tune fuel rail right there. I had to message him because I wasn't sure if he wanted to keep the studs or if he wanted to use the hardware that the rail comes with. So he said he wants to use the rail. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove these studs. The way I remove studs, I know some people, they do the 2-nut method, stuff like that. I'm not even gonna bother. I have here. I have a stud puller. I got this. I don't even remember how many years ago. All it is I'll show you guys real quick. Find the one that fits over your stud. So it might be this one. Yeah, so it's this one. It just slides right over. You just turn it until it stops. Now it's locked on the stud, and we'll spin it off. There we go, both studs removed. So next thing we're gonna do, or what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna get his rail right here, and I'm gonna fit on my RDX injectors, which should be, yeah, they should be in here. Yep, so I'm gonna fit the RDX injectors on, and then we're gonna start mocking it up. With the injectors mocked up, well, not mocked up, but the injectors installed on the rail. Now the rail is installed onto the manifold. This is like a perfect example. I want you guys to see. Look how much of a difference there is of this gap between the Ultra Race manifold with the same rail. Different injectors, but I don't think the injectors play that big of a part. It's just the manifolds and the rails, how different they are. There's almost no gap between here to here, and that's just because the RBC has this giant, just this giant screw bolt right here. I don't even know what to call this right now. Protrusion coming out of the RBC. That might be like a 1/4 inch maybe gap. So these are going to be very tiny spacers. So that's just compared to this gap to, I think I still have one more set left right here to this spacer right here. It just, that's what I'm trying to tell everybody. With making these spacers, they're all different. Unless you have the same exact setup I had with the Ultra Race, K-tune fuel rail, and injector dynamic injectors. That's the only way I can make those, or that's what those are. If you have a different combination, the best thing to do is, if possible, send me the manifold, the rail, and the injector, so I can get you a set tailor-made to your setup. So that's what I gotta do right now. I'm gonna take measurement. We're gonna see what it is. We're gonna cut something up, see how it fits. I figured instead of me constantly telling you this is why you need a fuel rail spacer, or here I'm making a fuel rail spacer for this, I'm just gonna show you why you need one. Okay, you know what? It's not why you need one, why I strongly recommend it. Because, well, first of all, OEM manifolds come with a sort of space, a fuel rail spacer for the stock ones. If they're putting it there for a reason, I mean, if they put it there, it's there for a reason. So now the thing with aftermarket rails, the reason why they probably don't come with them is because of this exact issue. You don't know what rail is going to go on what manifold. And the ones that kind of do need these spacers are usually the aftermarket manifolds. And if you're using an aftermarket manifold, you're probably doing some sort of customization, which is kind of where guys like me come in, and they're kind of planning that if you're doing all this, you're going to get a custom spacer installed. Regardless, I don't think it's 100% necessary, but I strongly recommend it, and this is why. So I'm going to show you guys this view of the rail because you can kind of see everything better. So I took the studs off. I put the bolts on, the K-tune bolts that they come with. So I have it on both sides. I tighten them down. So now everything is tightened. So if I was to grab the rail, I want to show you, let's go right here. You can kind of see it a little bit. No, you know what? We need better light. Okay, so now I want you guys to look right here, right where the screw is right here. So if I was to grab the manifold and I start tilting it, you see the rail is flexing right at the end because there's that gap and there's nothing to hold that gap. So what's allowing the rail to flex is the O-rings. So I don't think there's going to be enough, because if I go harder, it's not going to turn down enough to where the O-rings will pop, but you just have this flex here and the bolts can't go any lower. And if you maybe put a shorter bolt to bring this flush, what you're going to do is when you bring it flush, you're distorting the length of the injector, so it's not going to really go any more lower. All you're going to start doing is cocking the manifold like that. So that's not the right way to do it, in my opinion. So now if we put a spacer in between here to stop this movement, it's a lot safer. So now I made one spacer. I'm just going to put one in and show you the difference. Here we have the spacers installed, and I want to show you guys there's no more rock in the rail. I put them both in just to make sure it's even, but you can see, and we still have nice movement of our injectors. There's a little more that goes into it, like, all right, let me see if I can show you guys this angle. So if you look at the injector compared to the rail, kind of where they connect, you can see it's straight. Everything is it's horizontal. It's perfect, and that's the way you want it. Nothing seems like it's angled in any way. Even though these spacers came out very, very small compared to what I've made so far, they play a big role in my opinion. You know, it's just keeping everything intact. So that's why I recommend kind of getting spacers in between your rails if you have any kind of gap, just because it levels everything out. So your O-rings are leveled nicely. There's not going to be one cocked anywhere. There's no gap. The rail's not going to move under pressure, and you feel more confident about installing it this way. So now the only thing left is I just want to file them a little more, make them perfectly smooth on top and bottom, and then just throw some paint on them and they're done. Since it's kind of windy out there, I'm not going to paint these spacers today. I'll probably paint them tomorrow. I think it's going to be a nice day tomorrow, so I don't know. They're done. Very tiny. I'm saving these measurements in case somebody else who's ever watching this, you guys, have the same setup. So I'm only going to make them for like these specific setups. If you have the specific setups, I'll make a set for you because I technically know it works. So it's the RBC manifold, the K-tune fuel rail, RDX injectors. I'm saving these in case somebody else needs them. I'll make you a set of those, painted them. I'm doing them for like $20 shipped around the States. And yeah, so I figured since that's done, I'll show you what else is going on. I talked about it yesterday briefly. I'll show you a before and after of the radiator. I got bored. I started polishing it, and then there was only like 1 or 2 questions I think some people left on the last video. So guys, definitely, again, like this video, leave comments. That really helps us out. So leave whatever you want. I'll answer them in the next video. Right side of the radiator is the after. Here's the before of what it looked like. It just, I had a lot of coolant stains on there, and I've tried to clean them off. They're not coming off. And then this side was after. I hit it with a polisher. I did it by hand, but then I forgot. I had this Harbor Freight kit that I bought a long time ago. So it was it comes with all these buffer wheels and the compound, but this is like hard as a rock. I don't know if it's supposed to be like that. I tried it. It didn't really work so well. So I went out and I got some of this Mother's maggot aluminum polish. And that seemed to be working pretty good. It's leaving a nice shine on it compared to what it is. So I'm just going to finish that up. And then I'll answer some questions. Well, the top of the radiator is done. I think it came out alright. I mean, I don't know if I was looking for perfection or not. I was just kind of looking for something to do. Oh, just knock this guy over. I ended up taking the T-bracket off. It was easier for me to get to the rest of the radiator. So before we end this video, I've been looking through the comments that I left in the last video, or you guys left. So we're going to read whatever questions there were. Alright, again, like I said, there was really not that many comments on this video. I don't know if it's because it didn't look interesting enough, or if it just wasn't interesting enough. Let me know in this video. But alright, so let's see. One of the first questions, what size tire are you running? So I'm assuming, since it was on this video, it was my RPF 1. So my RPF 1s are 17 by 9. The tire size, I think, is 225. I'll tell you right now. Yeah, so the tire size is 225, 45, 17 on my RPF 1s. On my Belix, which are my drag wheels, that's a 8.5. That's a 13 by 8 with a 24.5, 8, 13 slick. Mickey Thompson slicks. So that's that question. Now let me see what the next one is. Alright, so the only other question is, do you have any connections to get a K all-wheel drive manual transmission for a good price within 100 miles of Central Jersey? No, sorry, I don't have a connection for that, for an all-wheel drive manual trans, but it's on this video now, so if anybody has a K-Series all-wheel drive manual transmission, I guess if you're in Jersey. If not, leave it in the comments, but yep, I'm not pronouncing that, but it's IPWN. I pawn you all fully, maybe. He's the one who left a comment. Reach out to him. Somebody said random giveaway. I don't do giveaways, guys. I'm sorry about that. It's just not my thing. I don't really do it, honestly. And then somebody said, say radiator. Who was that? Richard. Do you say radiator? I say radiator. Radiator, whatever. Alright, that's the end of this video. There was, again, just showing you guys what I'm doing in the garage. And luckily enough, we had a customer stop by, drop the manifold off with his rail. We made the spaces for him. I'll paint those tomorrow. See what else I get into tomorrow. Hopefully I pick the camera up again. Please, guys, if you haven't liked this video yet, give me a big thumbs up. Leave a comment below. Leave some questions. I'll answer them in the next video. If you want just say anything. I read all the comments. All right, so I'll read them all, and I'll see if anybody needs anything answered. I'll catch you in the next video. Stay motivated. Keep making the streets louder.